Hello out there and welcome to Public Conscience. This is the anti-corruption program produced by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMOG. PRIMOG is a civil society organization with a mandate to promote good governance, participation, and accountability in Nigeria. I am Chidozie Ogbonnaya with Esther Bassi.
Welcome to the program.
On Public Conscience, we seek to evolve a corruption-free society through the amplification of corruption stories reported by our partner media organizations and drawing citizens and government attention to democratic actions against it. We also promote integrity by focusing on rare cases of the display of honesty by public and private individuals in the course of their normal activities. The MacArthur Foundation supports the production of this program.
In today's program, we will continue to beam the searchlight on the large-scale theft of crude oil in Nigeria and the economic impact of the widespread loss is causing the economy.
Nigeria is experiencing one of the worst crude oil losses, with millions of barrels unaccounted for. The federal government has had a hard time tackling oil theft for decades. Sadly, the stealing spree of millions of barrels of crude oil persists.
In our previous episode, renowned journalist and the executive producer of Inside the Niger Delta, Mamude Akuga, told us that for every 100 barrels of crude oil produced, Nigeria loses 91 to oil thefts, leaving the federal government with only 9 barrels. And according to Benga Komolafe, the head of Nigeria Upstream Petroleum Regulatory, Nigeria lost a staggering $1 billion in revenue in the first quarter of 2020 due to crude oil theft.
So bad. Similarly, an investigative report by the International Center for Investigative Reporting, ICIR, has further exposed what Nigeria could have achieved in about 6 years if oil theft had been checked.
According to ICIR's findings, the volume of crude oil lost to theft and sabotage in the country between 2016 and 2020 can produce emergency medical helicopter for Nigerians. Also, what is lost would have reduced Nigeria's external debts and helped construct 138 primary healthcare centers and in the 774 local government areas of the country.
Today's program seeks to sustain previous calls and concerns raised over the devastating impact of crude oil theft in Nigeria and to stress the need for government to curb the menace of oil theft in Nigeria immediately. For you out there, do you know that the revenues the federal government has been losing over the years are enough to provide basic amenities and bridge massive infrastructure gaps across the country? Why do you think it has become extremely difficult to stop both crude oil theft and other forms of stealing in the oil sector? What do you think should be the best approach to stopping oil theft in Nigeria?
Be ready to join us through phone and text messages in the course of the conversation. The WhatsApp phone line to send your message is 0902 265 6167. That is 0902 265 6167. Please indicate your name and your location when sending your message. This number is for messages only.
Please begin to send your messages as soon as possible to 09022656167. That is 09022656167. We will give out the numbers to call shortly.
Let me quickly remind you that we've been talking about crude oil theft and its impact on Nigeria's economy and development. And the crux of this conversation is that oil theft is endangering Nigeria's economy and the well-being of its citizens.
It is instructive to note that Nigeria is also incurring losses through several other means in the oil industry. For example, different investigative reports expose how we are losing billions of resources through petrol smuggling and flawed petrol consumption calculation. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, continues to insist that Nigerians consume about 68 million liters of petrol daily, a figure disputed by even government officials. And I must quickly say that the federal government has also made efforts to see that they curb the oil loss by yesterday we heard that the federal government dissolved all anti-vandal units of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC), guiding oil pipelines in the Niger Delta as part of the ongoing efforts to eliminate connivance with some bad eggs in the system and with non-state actors.
I must say efforts are in place, Dozie. But joining us in the studio to expand this conversation is an investigative journalist with the International Center for Investigative Reporting, ICIR, that's Harrison Ede, and the founder of Afri Sankofa 360, Tamunokro Iyo Obietombere.
Okay.
Welcome to the program.
The name is actually Tamunokoro Iyo Obie Tombara.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
for
you very
that correction. We also been joined by the president of Pengassan, the former president of Pengassan. He is Pengassan stands for the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Comrade Peter Esele. And let me also tell you that Comrade Peter Esele, he's a man with over 20 years of experience in the oil and gas sector. He is former Trade Union Congress president, that is TUC, and one-time board member of the Nigeria Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, NEITI. Let's start this conversation with him. Many thanks for joining us, Comrade Peter Esele.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's draw from your wealth of experience this morning by you giving us a sense of the genesis of oil theft in Nigeria and why there is no end in sight.
Well, when you look at it from the composite perspective, you have what I would call the industry players, then you have the community, and then you also have what I call the law and order aspect of it. And the laws that is also guiding it, which has to do with the various regulators in that sector. The foundation of it is the sense of injustice that the community feels. But that does not encourage somebody going ahead to break pipeline, because at the end of the day, the community also suffers for it. Because once you break a pipeline, they're going to have another experience. And what that means is that the aquatic life of that community is destroyed. And then the agricultural aspect of it, everything. So at the end of the day, the community suffers in the short, medium, and long term. So, and why is it so easy for us? We'll be talking about other theft. It's just getting worse by the day. Why are we having such problem right now? And why is it getting worse? One, there are people who talk about community going ahead to break pipeline, but the current theft going on that we have right now is not the community at all. The current theft, it's very, very, I'm looking for the right word to use without trying to accuse anybody. The current theft now is syndicated, they are mafia, they use high tech. You can't steal 3 million liters, 3 million barrels of crude by using buckets. No,
So
it's not possible.
So you are saying...
So what you have,
Okay, go ahead.
So what you have is a collusion between the security agencies and those with the expertise to steal those crude. That is what is at play right now.
It's very hard to take because just the picture you painted that 3 million barrels, cannot go away without collusion and organization of some sort. But crude oil export accounts for 80% of federal government's revenue. With all this, how badly hit is Nigeria's economy with oil theft going unabated? And
Yes. The first thing, one of the reasons why he's on the front burners right now is because the federal government is being hit economically. And if not, we've always been talking about this, we've always known about crude oil theft. They're just getting worse by the day. And the federal government too, I don't know, for whatever reasons, their hands have been akimbo. I don't know why they didn't take it that seriously. For the first time, if the Nigerian Navy did not flag off a ship that was moving 3 million barrels, and that has been arrested now in Equatorial Guinea. Just imagine 3 million barrels at $100 per barrel. What you have is 300 million naira. That is just the one that have been saved. And if you say 80%, I think when you use the word 80%, it depends upon where you are looking at. But I don't think if you are producing 1.4 million barrels a day, and you say 80% is being stolen, I think then there's a big problem, the bigger problem that we're saying. But I think it would be 80% of the capacity of what goes to maybe a Bonny Light, and you also know that we have various terminals. So maybe 80% of what actually goes to Bonny terminal, that may be what they may be reporting. But all of this is that the federal government, not just federal government, is affecting you, is affecting infrastructural development, is affecting healthcare, is affecting education.
But
Until the federal government decides to stand up and meet this challenge frontally, we're still going to be talking about it.
do you see them being able to stand up and nip it frontally?
I don't. If you ask me to say what I'm seeing right now, I don't think they're there yet.
You don't think?
Yes, I don't think they are there yet, because one of the things to deal with oil theft of this magnitude is technology. It's technology.
Okay, so
now you have to identify where this theft is, and then you deploy area surveillance. And the area surveillance of these days are not the ones that are so expensive for you to do. There are drone technology that can help you take care of that.
So what do you think is wrong? If the solution is in the often you can even suggest this, and I believe those at the helm of affair, they know some of this. What do you think that is holding us back?
One of the things that is holding us back is corruption. Corruption. There are people benefiting from it. People at the very top of the various state agencies. You can talk about non-state actors. For non-state actors to benefit so much illegally, then you also have the support of various state actors.
Okay, so how can Nigerians be part of ending this oil theft, and what is your advice to them? Since the government is not willing, or probably they're not doing anything with all the solutions being profiled by people.
Remember, you started by mentioning community. So give us a sense of what they should be doing.
Now, the first one is to have the community buy-in. Whenever you notice that people are oil theft is taking place, or you have pipeline leakage, these guys who are doing this, they are not coming. They are not in the air. They move. They are on the ground. So firstly, you have to have the community buy-in. Educate the community. Let them know that if you see, talk. Whatever you see, report it. That's one. And then number two, also let the community to be aware of the damage to the environment, to their own environment, to their own needs of livelihood, to the sustainability of their health in that environment. Once the community is aware of this, then you move to the next level, which of course is the federal government deploying technology.
Deployment of
deployment of technology. Technology can help to solve all of this.
Okay.
That's two. Then number three, security agencies who are managing those particular areas. If it continues, then you relieve them of their employment. Because one of the ways for you to stop things is that appropriate sanction is meted out. If you do the crime, then you have to be ready to do the time.
Okay, let's wrap up on this note, because you've said a lot. The other time, the chief of naval staff was quoted to have downplayed the amount of crude oil lost in Nigeria. Do you think the figures are actually overbloated?
Yes, I think I agree with him on that score. That it cannot be 80%. It may be probably. You see, there are various trucks that move crude oil. So at a particular spot where we notice that this is happening, you can say if probably it's about 100,000 barrels that is being moved, and somebody is stealing about 80% of it, fine. But if you say we are producing 1.4 and 80% is being stolen, that invariably means that we are now selling about 200 barrels a day. I think that is overbloated. And then the chief of naval staff also spoke of the fact that for that to also happen, you must also have collusion within the terminal and also within the NNPC. So you also have people passing bulk. So security agencies are also part and parcel of the problem. I'm happy that the chief of naval staff and in some of his ratings, they were the one that flagged off that of the 3 million barrels of crude that was heading towards Equatorial Guinea that has been arrested in Equatorial Guinea right now.
All right. Thank you very much for being on the program, Mr. Peter Esele, former Pegasan president. Thank you very much for being on the program.
You are most welcome.
Right.
All right. Thank you. If you are just joining us, this is Public Conscience, and we've been talking about the oil theft and impact on our economy, Nigeria's economy. And in the studio, we are also joined by investigative journalist with the International Center for Investigative Reporting, ICIR, Harrison Ede. Harrison, you're welcome.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Before now, we had let me get the name again. Tamunokoro Iyo Obietembra started the program with us. But let's quickly, I know you have a lot to say. And let me mention that Tamunokoro is also a writer and Pan-Africanist. Let's get to you quickly on your report, because you said a lot about what we are missing out just by having all these losses, all these oil losses, oil theft. Give us an overview of your report and help us understand how crude oil stolen from Nigeria in the last 5 years can give each local government area in Nigeria over 100 primary health care centers.
Thank you very much for having me. You see, the issue of oil theft is at the heart of our economy because oil is our mainstay, and we can't really quantify enough damage that it does to the economy, because the oil theft, has a way of dragging down our budget implementation. Most times we have budget deficit. In fact, in the projected budget for 2023, when the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, spoke to the National Assembly sometime last month, she mentioned the fact that we are going to borrow around 11 point something trillion to fund the budget, which means we don't have a revenue. And if we don't have a revenue, it's a problem. Our mainstay revenue is the oil. The president is the Minister of Petroleum Resources. And he is the commander-in-chief also. The most important thing for me is how this rattles our economic plans. We are borrowing a lot. In fact, even the ways and means of the Central Bank of Nigeria, where people say, printing of money. But the point is that they had lent over 20 trillion naira to the federal government.
Which is overboard.
Overboard, if you follow the Fiscal Responsibility Act. All these are as a result of the oil theft, because we can't, if we get OPEC quota of maybe around 1.7 or 1.8 million barrels per day, and we are doing maybe 1.1 or 1.2, it doesn't help anybody. That road in Ohofia will not be built. That road in my village in Nemwe in Enugu State will not be built. That road in Nsukka will not be built because the funding for the projects are not there. Oil is our mainstay.
But let's fixate this on your report.
Okay, basically, my report, looks at the impact, because I try to also connect it to what it means for the economy, for the implementation of the budget, for building of those health centers across the country. Because if we keep having, as at the last count, we have around 400,000 barrels per day being stolen, which is a major concern. So if you look at 400, and annually we are getting around $14.6 billion being stolen through oil theft. We can't quantify the impact of what this can do to the child out of school, to millions of children out of school.
It's now 20 million plus.
It's a major concern. And so we have, everybody has to be, hearts to be on deck to solve this menace. It's a concern, it's a worry to me, because it affects our economy, it affects our livelihood. Inflation is rising because we are borrowing overboard.
Okay. Oil theft is actually affecting our economy and also our livelihood. Let's move to Tamuno. How would you react to the report, and how do you think our current situation as a nation is affecting foreign investment in Nigeria? Tamuno.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a very interesting conversation so far. But I think that for us to address the issue of oil theft in Nigeria, we have to look at the historical context. What has led us to this point? I am from the Niger Delta. I'm from River State. I am from Okrika in River State. I have seen firsthand the plight of the people in my part of the country that that have the oil wealth in their land, but cannot benefit anything meaningful from the wealth. I mentioned historical context, because if we don't understand the foundation of a problem, we cannot solve it. This will not be the first time a radio station will be having such discussion. For me, it has even become some sort of a cliche, because we know the solution, but we don't want to do what is necessary to address this issue.
So how is it affecting a foreign investor?
It is, of course, when you don't have stability in your polity, when you cannot even meet your OPEC quota, there's going to be distrust.
You are making case for the people in the community.
Yes, I'm making case because I want to respond to what Peter Esele said, involving the community. Because you have to involve the community for you to really stop this. If you want to stop oil theft, you have to put the people in the community where the oil is situated involved. You need to work with the people, to gain stability. So if I can emphasize a little bit on that, then I believe that we can gain better clarity and provide solutions to the government to stop this menace.
But from reports, the communities are also carried along in this theft.
True.
Absolutely.
You've heard about illegal refineries.
Absolutely.
And then the effect is having on the environment.
Absolutely.
Out there. So can we say we cannot treat wrong with wrong? It's never an alibi that the community is participating because they are not getting what they should be getting.
Okay, yeah. The community. There are people, in the communities who are participating. Young boys who are unemployed, men who do not have jobs. Who feel that this is the way out for them. Of course, they don't do it alone. They also do it with the security forces in that part of the country, and also with top government officials. I've seen firsthand. I've seen security officials, police, soldiers, navy, officials participating.
So you agree with what Peter Esele
Absolutely.
said about the connivance of
of course,
officials?
It's not something that is hidden. It is something that is everybody knows, even children knows. They're not hiding it. How do you think? I mean, we have naval patrol boats across the Niger Delta. How do you think those guys are taking the oil out without the connivance of the security agencies? How do you think they're able to take the oil out without the connivance of the soldiers posted in that part of the country? So the security forces are working hand in hand, because I know it. It's not something that is hidden. You don't even need to investigate. It's something that is very glaring for everybody to see. The security agencies are working hand in hand with those who are stealing the crude. Now, the reason why it seems as if the communities are handicapped is because the communities themselves, feel that they are being shortchanged by the government, by the authorities. They're not benefiting from the resources.
So a sense of if you can't beat them,
let me
join them.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll come back to that, but first let's listen, because Primal theme hits the streets and sampled the opinions of some Nigerians on how governments can stop crude oil theft going on in the Niger Delta region. Let's take a listen.
Voices against corruption. Let the people speak.
Hello and welcome to Primark's public feedback series on corruption called Voices Against Corruption. And we ask, how do you think Nigerian can stop the theft of crude oil going on in the Niger Delta?
If the government can reactivate the refineries to start working as they were before, it will in a way reduce the issue of oil theft.
What will basically be done is government should also bring in policing. There should be adequate measure. Government can do it. It's a win-win situation. And then you get what? Your monitoring and evaluation aspect of it that can monitor whatever machinery you have put in place to curb it and get response on daily basis.
There must be a corporate social responsibilities. Secondly, to engage the hosting communities and also to form vigilante within the hosting communities. That will also reduce the oil theft, because if the community are well engaged I didn't see how the oil will be sabotaged, and also implore them to build a security on some of these oil pipelines.
There is need for the encouragement of state policing. You cannot stop oil theft until you have enough securities to monitor it. And monitoring it is not just by daytime. You monitor it often and subsequently. Otherwise, you can't stop it.
This theft can be stopped by taking care of the youth. Most of the people involved in this theft is the youth.
Be the only way the theft will stop, by changing those security agencies and sending the new ones. Stopping of this process is something that can't just stop immediately. It's something that have to do with a gradual process. The reason being is that our security agency that they send in there, they are doing their work quite all right, but there's our top politicians, they are benefiting from the thief of the oil.
I think if we are ready to stop it, what we can do is by making our refinery works. Because even those Niger Delta people, they are not happy that our the oil producing in their state or in their region is taken outside, which nobody can account for. We are just believe on assumption. We don't know the total barrel of oil that is taken outside and the one that is bringing in. We don't know which after. They will tell us that they are paying subsidy.
Primark's public feedback on corruption in Nigeria is produced with support from MacArthur Foundation.
There you have it, the voices of Nigerians out there. You are not only Tamunokoro and Harrison Ede here with me in the studio are complaining. Nigerians are actually complaining. So let's get back to you because let me take your quick reaction. Does the concerns raised in that vox pop also correlate?
It correlates with me, yes.
With you?
Yes, especially the guy that talked about involving the communities. Making sure that the people benefit from the resources being taken away, extracted from their communities. I was reading a research document, and I saw that from 1960 till date, Nigeria has made over $600 billion from the sale of oil. Now, from 2017 to 2021, Nigeria made $195 billion, from oil profit. That, made me doubt the official statement, the official data that Nigeria made $600 billion. Because if we are making $195 billion in 4 years, that means we must have made trillions of dollars, from 1960 till date. But let's agree that Nigeria has made only $600 billion from 1960 to date. If we have to go with the official exchange rate today at 4.15 to $1, that means we've made over 200 and something trillion naira from oil. Where has that money gone to? How has the people in that region of the country benefited from the oil that is deposited in their land? Now, of course, the Niger Delta is Nigeria. What is in Niger Delta, is also part of Nigeria. But here's the thing. Here is a nuance. Because I also think that the Nigerian government is hypocritical. So the Nigerian government comes to my house and they see, if they see, for instance, oil at my backyard, they will say the oil belongs to me. If they see gold, they will say the oil belongs to them. If they see oil at my backyard, the oil belongs to them. If they see gold, the gold belongs to them. But if that same government discover plants of marijuana at the back of my house, they won't say it belongs to the federal government. They will say it belongs to me, and they want to charge me for it. They want to prosecute me for it. So if marijuana belongs to me, why wouldn't my gold and my oil belong to me? Why wouldn't I be taken along? Why wouldn't I benefit from the resources? And like I said, I'm from Okrika. My elder sister, in 2013, died from breast cancer as a result of the soot. Oh, yeah? The soot, the gas flaring, she died from breast cancer. My elder brother, the following year, was shot. He was shot because he was protesting against oil pollution in my community. There are people who bring these shiploads of oil to illegally refine. I can take you there. I can show you how it's done. Because I have a first-hand experience. My brother was out protesting. He was killed.
Sorry about the loss.
I also have relations that, in the process of oil bunkering, in the process of refining oil illegally, have died as well. So this concerns me. It affects me. And the way out is very simple. The federal government should come up with modular refineries. We are losing billions. The government is losing billions. How much? According to the Minister of State for Petroleum, Nigeria is losing 400,000 barrels of oil a day.
400,000
barrels of oil. So if we have to go with $100 per barrel, that is $40 million every single day. How much does it take to build modular refineries? We can have modular refineries. How many refineries does Hong Kong have? Does Hong Kong have any oil? So we can have modular refineries, employ the people in that region, engage the community, engage the chiefs, have community policing, stop this menace once and for all. It is doable. The Nigerian government is hypocritical because the top government officials in this country and the top security officials are benefiting.
Well, let's quickly open up the phone lines so that listener can also air their view. Please begin to send your messages to 090-2265-6167. And what is your contribution? Why do you think it has become extremely difficult to stop both crude oil theft and other forms of stealing in the oil sector? What do you think should be the best approach to stopping oil theft in Nigeria?
We have a message from Taiwo Isaac Ajerikwe on Facebook. He said, Nigeria, what plagued our country is not inflation but institutional complicity and our failure to punish those culpable. The political will to address the menace heads-on rests in the leadership at every level. At this stage of our existence, technology should be adopted and periodic reviews of the performance is key.
I'll come back to that. Hello? Hello, your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Jonathan. I've been calling from Marathon.
Jonathan, let's hear you.
Okay. Contribution concerning what you're saying about oil theft in the Niger Delta.
Go ahead.
Because after Nigeria has independence, you will all the refineries Nigeria has cannot work. If the refinery is working, those boys that is destroying the pipeline should be employed in the refineries. Those responsible for the oil theft are those who refuse the refinery to work all over the years. The one who have every year they turn around maintenance on those refineries and they refuse it to work. The airlines, the political class never want the oil producing nation to have a refinery to work. If those boys that after we depend on certain crude oil to import fuel in this place. If the refineries work in the city, they actually work now. And other countries don't even have oil. Do refinery. Then we could say that afford to build a refinery in Nigeria. And the Nigerian government, the airline from the north to refuse refinery to work in the Niger Delta. That is the reason why oil theft can never stop. Before oil theft will stop, Nigerian refinery must work appropriately and employ a number of people to develop that zone. When that zone is developed, no thing want to risk his life to go and start bunkering. If you are paying you 500,000 naira in a month for working in the refinery for being an extra, remember, we only bring in crude, sell crude to import kerosene, import fuel, and the moment the refinery starts working, there will be no problem. If the refinery have been work, do you know the number of employees that will be in that region?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
We have to thank you and we have to leave it there so that we'll continue this conversation. Harrison, you were itching to say something before we open up the phone line. And you may just come in here because let me also ask you, how worried should we be about the corruption going on? And it's obvious everybody's complaining, but we are seeking for answers. We are seeking for solutions. What is your own idea of how we go about this to come out of this mess?
I mean, everybody should be worried, but there is also a solution if we really put out our hearts to find one. Recently, the NNPC Limited launched an app, to track the oil theft. They had also hinted of the fact that the Nigerian crude has specific specificity that can be tracked even when it is stolen and taken outside the country. So they are working with international partners on that. But it's not enough. There must also be a conciliatory pact with the communities that their environment has been damaged. With the region of Niger Delta, the other time Tompolo was contracted, and there was on the other side another person who was also revolting that he wasn't also spoken to. So they should
different groups are revolting,
different groups are already revolting
on daily basis.
So what does that tell you? There are lots of issues that are not really very well fine-tuned, and oil remains the mainstay of our economy. The oil majors, many of them are leaving the country, for other places that there are some measure of stability, like Angola, Mozambique, and all that. So we can't allow all of them to go. We will find a way to hold them and work with them and give them that assurance that investor needs to have, that confidence that an investor needs to have. So there should be people that have spoken had raised the concern of the fact that there are collusion in this from the top to the bottom. How would you reconcile the fact that the civil defense and all that, you mentioned it in your preliminary remarks that the group working in those regions have been dissolved?
Yes.
So what does that tell you? They've not performed. So government is worried. If we are losing 400,000 barrels per day and we are going to borrow, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Let me also say that we are still open to take your calls.
Tamuna, right. So do you think the booming oil theft in the Niger Delta region has a direct correlation with the failure of our refineries over the years?
Absolutely, it does. And that's also the reason why I think that sometimes, I think it's deliberate. I think that certain forces, in the Nigerian society wants to undermine the Nigerian society by ensuring that they profit more from the oil resources, because you can't tell me why Nigeria do not have functioning refineries. I mean, this is a very big, rich country. We have tiny countries, smaller countries that are doing so well. Countries without even, with oil resources. Take a look at Hong Kong. How many refineries do they have? What is deposit of oil in Hong Kong? What resources do they have there? And we have the oil, but we export crude and then import petrol and then pay subsidy on petrol. What sense does that make? It doesn't make any kind of sense. So I think it's deliberate. That's why someone like me, I've been on from 2012, I think, when subsidy was first removed from petrol. I supported it because I believe that the way out is full deregulation of the petroleum sector. Once the sector is fully deregulated, then of course you allow market forces to determine
the whole
the whole scenario. You give room for modular refineries. Modular refineries will definitely put an end to oil theft.
You said that modular refineries is the magic wand.
It is magic wand. Modular refineries
in all these.
Yes.
But let's let me see. Hello, your name and where you are calling from?
My name is Evangelist Matthew from Abuja.
Evangelist, let's hear you in 1 minute.
Okay. It's not enough to put our refineries in order, and then without a law that is guarding, because people in authority has hand in all this theft. That is why it is going on up till now. How can you say that you want to fight corruption and you will put corrupted people? All the security men and everybody that is around that place knows what is happening. Until this country needs a decree that if you are involved in so thing, you will face it. Not that you give legislation to go and make the law, because all of them, their hands are not clear, and that is why this thing is lingering from that point.
You can say some of them. You cannot be sure that all of them are involved.
If all of them are not involved, one person or the other must have done something that could have caused this thing today that you and I are talking. But no one seems to care about it. us is that we are losing. How do we believe them?
All right, please wrap up on your thoughts.
Thank you. May God bless Nigeria.
We'll join you to say amen to that. There is no way we can't talk about decree. We are not a military era. But then let's move on a little bit. Okay, I'll come back to you, Harrison. Let me see who is there. Hello?
My name is Timothy Anthony, calling from Kochigoro.
Go ahead, we can hear you.
To stop this menace or this sabotage of this crude oil is by taking care of youth. In the sense that, imagine like a youth who finish school, from the scratch to up, and he discovered that the youth will not be given appointment or will not be given job. And it is to stop this those that are conniving go around, with those that are hosting here, go out to the oil. It's a point that if prevention that the youth are given job, this thing will stop. So to stop this issue.
All right, thank you. Hello? Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Toba. I'm calling from Central Area.
Please, let's hear you in 1 minute.
Okay, please, in 1 minute, I just want to show you something I want to see. So that you guys at the end of our stairs in the city here can also help Nigerians. I like you to understand that English language is not our language. So when some contributors they call in to express themselves as much as they can, I believe that you should try to understand what they say. Like the caller that called before this last caller said something about decree. What he's trying to say, you understand. He's not trying to say decree, since they are not in military era. He's not trying to tell you that there should be a law on ground. So that he doesn't look at when they talk and see what they are saying.
Yes, we understand, my brother.
So, you see that a lot of things that actually make sense. If the government will actually do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your contribution, but we understand, and it's also good that we put it squarely where it should belong. Let's use the right word. There's no sin using the right word. But let me come to you straight, Harrison, because the federal government is making little effort, or serious effort, to see that this thing is curbed. Yeah. What's the way forward? From where the the NSCDC anti-vandal squad, they've been dissolved nationwide, and what else do you think could be done in way of finding lasting solution to the problem of oil theft in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. There must also be a conciliatory pact to all this. I have said it before. My brother here, who is from the Niger Delta, had also voiced out his concern. Government must come out straight and strong in its approach. Don't talk from both sides of the mouth. Find a way to engage relevant stakeholders from that region. The Minister of State is from that part of the country. Let all stakeholders. We saw what happened during the PIB, which later transited to PIA, when various communities were called to make submissions, and we have discordant tunes. I also enjoined my brothers from the Niger Delta region to also talk with one voice, so we don't have the crisis keep revolving around, taking us back to, the pre-amnesty era of President Yar'Adua, where we were losing about 700,000, barrels per day. So oil remains our mainstay. Everybody must sit on the table to make known his demands. The modular refineries my brother talked about is very key.
You support that?
It's absolutely, I support that. But okay, they should also be guided so they don't pollute the environment, because some of them are also doing it in a very crude way.
When government organizes them, that will work. Esther, you want to ask Tamino?
Yes,
all right, go ahead.
In a way of wrapping up, by next year we will have a new government. And what, in specific terms, would you advise the next government to do against oil theft? And do you think the government has the courage to expose all of those involved and let alone persecute them?
If you can do that, put it together in 1 minute. It will be fine.
A very sincere government, will have the courage to expose and prosecute those culpable of sabotaging our economy. Now, earlier I mentioned that we lose and this is from the Minister of State for Petroleum. We lose 400,000 barrels of oil per day, which is $40 million every day, which is $14.6 billion in a year. If we're to go with the $100 per barrel estimate, $14.6 billion. We don't need up to $500 million to set up modular refineries. Okay, let's say we even let's say the government sacrifices and uses $2 billion to set up modular refineries. That will go a very long way in putting this menace to rest. The government knows what to do. They should do it. The incoming government next year should engage the communities, come up with modular refineries, fully deregulate the petroleum sector. Take up all, remove all the odors. Let us bear the pain once and for all. Take off subsidy, full deregulation, modular refineries. Take off all this corruption that is in the sector. Let market forces determine the price. So that and then engage the community. Of course, the community should be fully engaged. Okay. That way they will know that if they allow the sabotage of the economy, they are sabotaging themselves, and then there will be consequences.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We have to leave it there. You said a lot of things that the government should take into account, and I must say, corruption is a cancer that eats away at every citizen's faith in democracy. We pray that we get over this cancer real soon. And that is how we'll be wrapping it up.
But please visit the news page of our website, primognews.org. That is primognews.org for all the details of our reports and interviews. Visit our website, www.primog.org, to get all the information about Primog.
And you can watch our videos on Primog TV, our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to get reminders when we have a new post. We appreciate our guests, investigative journalist with the International Center for Investigative Reporting, ICIR, Harrison Ede. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
We also appreciate the founder of African Kofa 360. He's also a writer and Pan-Africanist, Tamunokuro Iyo Obientombara. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much. It is actually African Kofa 360.
All right. And former president of Pengasen joined us earlier via the phone. Peter Esele joined us earlier today. Public Conscience has the support of John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, committed to building a more just, verdant, and peaceful world. Get more information about the foundation on its website, macfound.org.
Join us again here next week for another episode of Public Conscience, and remember to follow us on our social media platform, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at Official Primog. I am Esther Bassi.
Remember that birth registration and birth certificate are both free if your child is under 18. Please help stop the corruption in birth registration and do not pay for birth certificates. Also remember that you can give us information or hints about corrupt acts through our phone at 09022656167 or info@primog.org. I am Chidozie Ogbonnaya. Stay safe.